Hey guys, you want to see the same movie you saw 15 years ago again, but with a live-action skin?
No!
Well, here it is anyway.
It's okay. I won't hurt you.
Get ready for the tale of a Viking boy and his dragon, again, in How to Train Your Dragon 2025. Now, if you could tell by that intro, I'm not particularly a fan of live-action remakes. These live-action remakes that come from Disney just seem to have a lot of the heart and soul of the original films just taken completely out. They always feel like I'm watching like the Cliff Notes version of the original film rather than a new interpretation. Why have Mulan work to become respected by her peers when she can just be already perfect from the start? Why have the animated expressions of a line when you can have the blank piece of paper stares of a live-action remake? They always seem to miss the point of the original movie, or just completely erase whatever goodwill came from those movies anyway. And one of my favorite animated movies growing up was How to Train Your Dragon. I thought it was a very nice take on the boy and the dog story, but with Vikings and dragons. It had memorable characters and wonderful animation, and played around with the types of tropes you'd see in the story and gave it a nice amount of emotion and heart to it. So you'd think with this being Dreamworks' first attempt into doing live-action remakes that maybe they would take notes from Disney and try to do something different than other live-action remakes. They don't do that. They instead take the wrong lessons and mostly do a shot-for-shot and line-for-line retelling of the original movie. Which brings me up to one of my usual questions. What is the point? I would not have minded this if, say, they told a new interpretation of the story. And I find that strange because the How to Train Your Dragon series is based off of books. Now, I don't know how different the books are compared to the movies, but maybe they could have brought in stuff from the books into this live-action remake to make it stand out from the original. But they don't prioritize that at all. They instead want to prioritize giving you the exact same movie that you saw years ago, but just with a live-action skin. I will say that the one prop I can give this remake compared to other live-action remakes from Disney is that this does have more of an understanding of why the original worked. It still does retain a good chunk of the heart and soul of the original. The film doesn't try to skimp on Hiccup learning how to tame a dragon, and instead does try to keep in some of the scenes of him bonding with Toothless. I'll also say that the CG effects in this movie look pretty good. They stick true to the designs of the dragons from the original, but while also giving them nice scale textures to them. The flying sequences I can also say are pretty cool to sit through. I'll also say that the performances by Mason Thames and Gerard Butler are easily the best ones. Mason Thames does a pretty decent job imitating Jay Baruchel's performance, and Gerard Butler is nice to see back in the role again. However, that's really where my positives end, because the rest of the movie is pretty much just line for line and beat for beat the exact same movie. The film does try to have a bunch of new scenes in it, but they just felt like additions that didn't really enhance the story. I've seen at least 2 or 3 reviews where they relate this remake to a director's cut. And honestly, that's the best way you could look at the new scenes in this film. These feel like scenes that could easily have been cut from the original, because they don't really add anything to the story and just kind of slow the film down. And if anything, some of the new scenes I think actually hinder this film. One of these scenes involves a conversation between Hiccup and Astrid after their first training day, which wasn't in the original film, but the scene just makes Astrid look more jerkish compared to the original. And that's going to get to my other issue with the film. I thought Astrid was significantly weaker in this compared to the original. It also doesn't help that the performance by Nico Parker isn't as strong as America Ferrera's performance in the original. America Ferrera's vocal performance in the original was a lot more expressive compared to Nico Parker's, who just kind of plays it straight-faced and bland.
That's for the lies. That's for everything else.
That's for the lies. And that's for everything else.
And because this version of Astrid is a little bit more jerkish compared to the original, I don't really buy Hiccup and Astrid being a couple in this one compared to the original. If anything, it felt more sudden rather than like properly set up. I'll also say that while I said the CG was pretty good, the green screening on the other hand is not that good. It's more apparent in the final act, and it doesn't look like it was given enough time to be finished. So yeah, overall compared to the Disney remakes, this just did nothing new. It doesn't try to be a new interpretation of the story like it should be, and instead wants to prioritize being scene for scene and line for line the same film, with some new scenes added. But like I said, the new scenes don't really add much to this movie. They don't really strengthen the emotion or the heart or the soul of the original, they just feel like additions. They hinder the film and make it longer when it didn't need to be. I'm gonna give How to Train Your Dragon 2025 a 4 out of 10. If you like these types of remakes, then I guess this one wouldn't hurt. But if you really want to see this, I would say just wait to see it at home. Like, go rent it. And that's what I thought of How to Train Your Dragon 2025. Did you guys like it? Make sure to tell me in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Take care.